Hey guys, what's up? It's Solo, and today we're gonna be talking about the Destiny community, particularly a certain side of it, and talking about the newest, I guess, thing some people have latched onto, which is, oh well, Bungie talks about mental health, but then makes a game about RNG and weapon crafting and red boxes. And my response to that is the reason why they talk about mental health is because they encourage people to take a break. And the fact of the matter is a lot of these people who are coming out now and saying, oh, well, it's bad for Bungie to do this are also the people like I've seen put some like clickbait titles to manipulate people to click videos, but then act like, oh no, Bungie's doing all this bad stuff, but they literally encourage people to take a break. And it's, yeah, just like Dado said, if you need to take a break, take a break. Even I've taken a break from Destiny at one point. Mostly due to the fact that a bunch of people who I used to play with don't play the game anymore. And at the time, it was just after Forsaken launched. None of the friends that I originally had playing the game played the game anymore. I was just kind of, I don't know, in this like lull of, you know, what's the point of playing, yada yada yada. So I kind of, you know, quit playing Destiny for a while until I figured stuff out, and then I came back to it. But the fact of the matter is I think it's really funny that a lot of the people pointing this out are a lot of streamers and YouTubers. And in reality, if they're sitting there saying this because they're talking to people like them, the issue is that people like them don't stop playing the game. They don't change anything. They just sit there and play the game for thousands of hours and then turn around and complain that their mental health's dropping, but fail to realize that they can stop playing the game at any time and take a break to work on their own mental health. And now that it's the end of the season and stuff isn't going on, they're going after, or they're trying to go after Bungie about the fact, oh, well, you promote mental health, but your game doesn't promote it. It's like the game is not supposed to babysit your mental health. Like, it's just not. Like, if you need to figure out your mental health, either like go get therapy or, you know, just do something to help your mental state. Like, because from my point of view, it seems like a lot of people bring negative thoughts into Destiny when they come in. You know? Because it's always like, again, it's always the smallest majority always has the loudest voice. And the fact of the matter is like, the fact that I'm seeing this from streamers and content creators saying this makes me feel like, I don't know, it makes me feel like one person said it and then a bunch of content creators saw it and they're like, okay, it's time to hop on this because it's gonna get me, you know, it's gonna get me supporters, you know. Because that's what it always feels like when there's some sort of quote-unquote issue with the game. Content creators immediately will jump on it. Like, I'm not gonna name names, but I've literally seen a content creator on his Clips channel just sit there and regurgitate the same thing of, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, but it's the same thing. It's the same story. And yeah, you can say, oh, it's constructive criticism on what to fix. But I've never seen someone go so like, I guess, dead inside doing the same thing. than this guy. Or the fact that, like, now that you know, Omni and Lord of Wolves is getting a nerf, people are trying to find something new to, I guess, pick out that needs to happen or that needs to be a thing. And it's just like, if you're not happy with a game and, like, it's an actual game-breaking issue, that's fair. But there's a point where it skews the line from, like, a game-breaking issue into a personal opinion because of how you play Destiny. For example, people who say that there is no endgame to Destiny when they put hundreds of thousands of hours into a singular season are digging their own grave because of that. And let me explain this. So imagine, I don't know, World of Warcraft player, right? Imagine a World of Warcraft player where they're just sitting there, you know, enjoying the content, you know, just got the game. They just got World of Warcraft, right? And then all of a sudden, they get met with, oh, World of Warcraft's garbage because, you know, once you get to the end game and beat the final, you know, the final end game boss, there's nothing to do. There's no, you know, there's nothing to do. But to the new player, there's a lot to do. Mind you, I will agree on one thing, which is going to be the new player experience needs to be updated. Everybody agrees on that. But we don't need to reiterate that 20 times in a single week. And yes, I'm talking about the person who literally sat there and reiterated the same thing by going onto Reddit and looking for and finding a post that said the same thing and then reiterating that the story of Destiny needs to be explained to new lads, and it's like, we get it already. But yeah, that simple explanation is New Light does need to get a like 3.0 update. We all know that, we all get that. Bungie is probably working on it. But there is another thing that everybody needs to get. And that is that not everything is going to happen immediately. And to reiterate the same points over months and months at a time. Sorry, I hit my mic. But to reiterate that same point for months and months at a time, and then turning around and acting like Bungie aren't doing anything, is childish in a way. You're basically like that kid who asked for like 3 things in their presents for Christmas, but their parents couldn't afford all 3, so they got you 2 of them, and they're gonna get you the 3rd for your birthday, but then you got overly pissed off because you didn't get all 3 of them at the same time. That's like the best analogy I can make of that. You know, the person who was talking about Risk Runner, I think you're right. I think Risk Runner's also gonna be broken next season, especially with the Art Conductor. But yeah, especially with that. Anyway, but no, that's the big thing is I've been seeing the community half the time has a hive mind, especially on Twitter, Reddit, and of course the forums. But we don't talk about the forums because I'm pretty sure at this point they're like the skeleton boneyard or the elephant boneyard from The Lion King. Nobody goes there. Nobody wants to talk about it. So why, like, I don't get it. I really don't. Like, I don't get why I see content creators. Like, I get there's content creators that, like, cover leaks and stuff like that. And based on how the reaction to the video went, and since we only hit halfway, I'm not going to do. And, I don't know, maybe that's for the better. Maybe, you know, covering the leaks might, you know, cause some issues. But as far as like I'm going, I hope everybody knows that I do not play Destiny 24/7. I don't, like, I think I've never done a Grandmaster Nightfall in the current, like, set of seasons. I think the last time I did a Grandmaster was back when they were first introduced. Like, my number one goal for Destiny is to just have fun with what I'm doing. That's why I do all my theory videos. That's why I do all my, you know, all my dumb, oh, hey, this is a 4th class, even though there's no possible way to have a 4th class video, you know. Or when a dev accidentally leaks a Titan super. And I make a video on it where I talk about the fact that the logo looks cool and that it has like a greenish color. That is me being excited about a game. And mind you, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. If anyone on Twitter is coming after you because you're excited about the game, don't let them deter you. A lot of the Twitter populace of Destiny 2 is just out to upset people. And that's just it. And to act like, I don't know, to act like the game is always in a state of, oh, it's a really shit game, is probably the worst mindset. Another bad mindset that people have gotten into with Destiny is the quote-unquote love-hate relationship. Because here's the thing, I love Destiny to death, but I know when I need to stop playing. Because if you don't stop playing, you're gonna eventually hit the burnout phase, and when you burn out, you're gonna burn out really hard sometimes because, you know, it's just what happens. And it doesn't just happen in Destiny. If you have been an MMO player for any amount of time, you know burnout happens with every single game. But no, I don't play Destiny 24/7. I play Destiny, I play Spider-Man, I play, you know, I play a bunch of games. Heck, I even play mobile games when I'm just kind of vibing, you know. But I will say this, on my channel, all of you guys have been mostly great. There have been some, you know, a little bit trickier situations. But for the most part, all of you have been great. And that's because I've been trying to focus with this channel a point where people can say their opinions and not get met with hostility. Because that's another thing about Twitter and Reddit. It feels like if you say, oh, Bungie makes a good game, and then people will turn around and immediately find a way to crap on that idea, you know? And I think that's one of the things poisoning the community. And I think it's also funny that, like, the community turned around and, like, I think it was, what was it? It was like a week. Or no, it was like the second day after the season dropped. Like, there was, like, a bunch of people posting that this season was bad and everything else. But I really wish I had a count of how many people, like, did bounty prep for the reason of they wanted all the season mods and wanted to be able to, like, go through the season at a rapid pace. Because, like, if your whole goal for Destiny is to go through the season as fast as possible, you're playing the game wrong. I'm sorry, but you are. Like, Destiny shouldn't be a speed run to the end. It should be enjoying the time in between the start of the season and the end. And you'll be like, okay, fair, but what about content creators? Make content on stuff that isn't just the season. Like, for example, I make theories that are way out there because they're fun to do, and sometimes even take bits of lore that we've seen. For example, the Anna Bray theory took bits out of the Dark Future, and like that's my whole, like, I guess point here is that you can find fun things about a game if you're not solely looking for the worst. And I feel like that's what a lot of the people on Twitter and Reddit and, you know, the forums do. Is just look for the worst out of the game. Because it's not particularly their MMO style. You know, people are so used to an MMO being like how Star Wars The Old Republic is, how World of Warcraft is, but not all MMOs are going to be focused around, you know, a start game, which, by the way, those are not good examples because some of the start games on, like, Star Wars The Old Republic are really bad and are just barely getting revamped years later. But, like, you know, people will compare it to these other MMOs, which have also been out, but also are a different style of MMO. In certain regards, of course. And I feel like everybody, like, there is a dichotomy of people who have certain tastes. Now, as far as the whole subject of people not wanting sunsetting or power creep is a double-edged sword, because if they don't sunset weapons, then power creep actually becomes a thing. And we're seeing this with origin traits and everything else being introduced season to season, and new things becoming more powerful because of these origin traits and snuffing out stuff that don't have them. But people acted like power creep isn't real. So then their guns didn't get sunset. But that's the issue, is if they don't rotate out guns, there's an oversaturation of, okay, these guns are in the game, but they're not usable because they don't have this, like, perk combination, unless you strictly use them, you know, and are really good at using them without this perk equipped. And that's the issue, is people are mad about power creep, but then back when Bungie were like, hey, we're doing this because of power creep, everybody's like, power creep's not real. So my question is how do you satisfy that? Easy. You could go back to sunsetting, which, mind you, isn't the best strategy, but it did work for a little bit just because it got rid of power creep and it made it so then all the weapons were kind of, you know, balanced out a little bit. Or you let power creep ride until there's a meta where everybody gets mad because there's only certain weapons that are good. Or you just rework the entire system, which I think is what's going to happen. They're going to rework the entire system until power creep is at a manageable level and it, you know, it doesn't have issues. But that's the thing, is, again, that means people have to give Bungie time, and no one's giving Bungie any time. That's why Bungie, like, for the most part, besides, like, interviews here and there where they talk about raids getting, or, you know, earlier raids getting origin traits like Vault of Glass, Last Wish, you know, stuff like that getting origin traits. I'm not sure if Vault of Glass already has one. I don't think it does. But, you know, those getting their own origin traits, kind of like how VoW has its Soul Drinker origin trait. You know, that's them saying, hey, you know, we're trying to make these old guns relevant again. But then people are like, well, power creep, and it's like, okay, what's the point of Bungie talking if it's just going to be a one-way conversation of the same thing? And that's the thing, is now I feel like Bungie in the past has always been, like, very open about, like, different things, different changes, and then recently has been very shut off. And that came from the discourse of, oh, Bungie's spoiling most of the season with the roadmaps, so we know what's coming, so then we're less excited about it. So they stopped doing roadmaps. oh, well, now we don't know what's going on. What's going on, Bungie? And then Bungie would be like, oh, we're changing some things, and then tell us that, and then everybody would get mad because, you know, the changes weren't exactly to their specifications. And then, you know, we had the whole thing of people sending death threats and violence and, you know, harassment. And now, if you even criticize someone for being a toxic person on Twitter, they call you, you know, a Bungie fanboy, and you just get disregarded, even if you have a valid criticism about their really, really bad opinion. Like, for example, like, I get if you don't agree with someone, you're gonna talk about it, but, like, if your first reply to me on Twitter is that I'm a Bungie fanboy, you're gonna get blocked. Because that shows to me that you don't want to actually have the conversation. You're just there to spread toxicity to the rest of the community. And that's the big thing is we let toxicity run rampant to the point where the toxic people are now turning around and saying, oh, positivity's toxic too. And it's like, okay. But the toxic positivity isn't getting death threats sent to the devs. Like, you guys can't just overlook that. You can't overlook that and act like it never happened, because it did happen. And that wasn't because of positivity. That was because of all the negativity. But, you know, a lot of toxic people will act like, oh, well, that wasn't that bad. You know, that didn't happen. And it's not happening as much as people say it does. And it's like, yes, it does. You don't understand, like, in the half of it, probably how many DMs Bungie people get on a regular basis. That's probably, like, especially like someone like DMG or, you know, Hippie or someone like that. They probably get thousands of messages that's just, you're really bad at your job, you shouldn't be there, you know, you and Bungie are disgraces, yada yada yada. And the fact of the matter is most of the people sending this have never worked in a game development job in their life, and they're just entitled. And I'm not sorry for saying that, because the fact of the matter is this comes from a time where you're trying to mesh two generations of gamers together, which is the generation of the generation where if something's buggy, usually people would laugh at it because it's a bug and it's just kind of dumb. It's the reason why, like, if I see a body take off or like my thing wigs out, I don't sit there and get mad and be like, oh, Bungie, you know, Bungie control, you know, because I know bugs are a thing, and I've actually done quite a bit of coding in my past and know that code is very delicate, especially depending on what type you do, or what language I should say you do. And the fact of the matter is like a bunch of these people over Twitter, like, I work in this and it's not that hard. And the first question that pops into my head is, I wonder how many like experiences they've had akin to Bungie. Like, that's my biggest thing. I don't know. It feels like we've gotten to a point where instead of being decent human beings, we're just basically turning into savages. Like I said, this doesn't pertain to anyone who's been on my channel so far. Because I like to keep it civil. I like to keep it, you know, an open discussion. That's why you guys saw my, you know, horde mode video where I went into depth of, okay, these are things Bungie can add to horde modes to make them better, you know, or at least make them not feel like they're stale. Because, yeah, I did feel like the last seasonal activity was stale after, you know, having to run it 50 times and bind vestiges because, I don't know, it felt like I was doing the same thing over and over and over again. And yeah, you can say, oh, well, there's a lot of stuff like that, but then turn around and again, I've noticed the Destiny community can also be very hypocritical. Like, for example, the fact that people now praise, what was it, Dominus Gall as a boss. But yet, magically enough, when Dominus Gall was the main, like, end game boss of Destiny, or at least Destiny 2, people, like, I kid you not, people would literally talk so much crap about Dominus Gall being one of the worst written characters in Destiny history. But now everybody praises him like he's like the second coming or something. I don't know. And you can say opinions change, but I feel like a lot of people turn into hypocrites when they know it's the popular thing to do. Just like the whole menagerie thing. I never, like, I get menagerie was like the more choose your own poison thing, but I had never gotten the hype behind menagerie, like, at all, because menagerie was just another horde mode that gave you more choice about what's going on with your armor, and that's about it. Like, and you can't really tell me otherwise at this point, because, like, I don't know. It just feels like people reminisce too much about older things that it feels like the new things don't get a chance to breathe. Like, for example, if I see another post about how Destiny 1 was better, I'm just going to be like, you know how many months in Destiny 1 I had to wait? Sorry, voice crack. I had to wait for something to come out. Like, take the gap between House of Wolves and then the Taken King. Or, even better yet, take the gap between the Taken King and Rise of Iron. Like, those were months. And everybody's like, oh, those are better. No. No. Like, you think there was nothing to do now? Back then, literally every time you got done with everything in a DLC, you could just quit the game until the next DLC came out. And then play it again, like, 5-6 months later. Like, Bungie's content stream has gotten better, and to act like Destiny 1's was better is a joke. And you can turn around and say, oh, well, them under Activision was better. Again, no. Because here's the biggest problem, and one of my biggest, I guess, issues I ever had with Activision. Or at least, I'll give you 3 reasons why I didn't like when they were a part of Activision. Number 1, when Activision was a part of it, you remember the whole PlayStation exclusive stuff that everyone hated? That was under Activision. Because Activision at the time had a partnership with PlayStation, and technically still does, especially with how the new Call of Duty is shaping up, but they're also being bought out by Microsoft, so it's interesting. But that's where the whole console exclusive loot came from. Number 2 is the fact that they literally did Destiny 1 and the beginning of Destiny 2's DLC structure where they had nothing in between. That means for 4 to 5 years, we had the same thing of content droughts before they finally decided to do the seasonal model after Forsaken. That means they came out with, let's see, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4 DLCs on Destiny 1 plus Destiny 1, which by the way, I'll get to point 3, which talks about why I don't like them because of Destiny 1. So 4 DLC in Destiny 1 that came out with content drops in between, and then you had Warmind Curse of Osiris, and then finally, after the 3rd DLC in 2018, when Forsaken came out, they finally decided to do seasons. But there was an issue. And the issue was the seasons that they did were very unbalanced when it came to what had content and what didn't. Because with Season of the Forges were cool and all. But after you got done with, like, getting Izanagi's Burden, there was just a gap again between the seasons. Whereas now, Bungie have it so then the seasons usually start after the last one ends. But yeah, that's another big issue, is Activision's spacing sucked. Number 3, and probably the biggest one for me personally, which was Activision literally scrapped the original story for Destiny 1 a month before release. And if you guys have never heard about this, basically, we ended up finding this out a little bit before Destiny 1 release, was that Activision didn't like what Bungie was doing with the story for Destiny 1, so they actively told Bungie to rework the story. And that's how we got Destiny 1 story, the disjunction mess that we got, because it was literally had to be ripped from the ground up and redone because their publisher didn't want to publish the original story, which the original story was supposed to be about Rasputin, funny enough. But yeah, so I have a really bad taste in my mouth because of Activision, especially with what they've been doing with Call of Duty and other, and now that they're a part of Blizzard, what the things behind the scenes that they've been doing. So no, I will not say that the Activision era of Destiny is the best era. While there are cool armor sets and cool concepts from Destiny 1, Destiny 2, I feel like, is still better in execution rather than Destiny 1. And I will take that opinion and die on that hill, because I would rather have seasons than content droughts. But yeah, anyway, I've been rambling on for a bit. Moral of the story is guys, if you guys need a mental health break, for the love of God, just take a break from Destiny. Don't sit there and play Destiny until your ears bleed and you don't eat anything, or don't lose sleep on Destiny. Play it at your own pace, but don't overdo it. You want to know why they tell you to drink in moderation? It's because it's not good if you don't. And yeah, that's just the lesson, is play in moderation, and if you need to take a mental health break, take a mental health break. You have no excuse not to take a mental health break. You don't need to have an excuse to take a mental health break. You could take one even if you don't need it. Doesn't matter. Take a break when you feel like you need to take a break. Make sure you're mentally sound before the game. And that's the best advice I can give you about games, because if you're not enjoying it, you're not enjoying it. And forcing yourself to play something when you're in that negative mind space is just going to make it worse. I know I used to be in that state where I used to play stuff for hours and hours on end until one day I just finally kind of broke down. And that's when I realized I need to moderate myself, or else I'm gonna get into this love-hate relationship with every game I play. and I'm not going to be able to enjoy games like I do today. So yeah, just keep that in mind while you're playing games. It's healthy to do it in moderation, but if it's damaging your mental health, take a break. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. If you guys did enjoy this video, hit the like button. Comment down below, what is your favorite era of Destiny? Mine, personally, my favorite era of Destiny is actually going to be Age of Triumph at the end of Destiny 1. But I will say this, I only put it there because of the armor sets and the ornaments. If we get ornaments like that in Destiny 2, like, Destiny 2 will 100% have one of my favorite moments. But anyway, guys, don't forget to subscribe, turn on post notifications so that you never miss a Destiny upload. And of course, if you don't, Crab Titan's gonna come after you. And guys, I hope you guys have a good day. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.